So hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 206 and in this video we continue with our exercise, and in this video we want to start to make a new function, which is the sort function for our linked list, which we created in our last videos. But this video is a special video, and the reason for that is because it is Matrix time. You know Matrix, the movie? Actually, yes, we are learning to dive into the Matrix more or less. What I mean with that is, you will learn in this video to read the real code instead of the description. And how we make this, how we learn to read the real code. Is it not that what we already do? Actually not. We are beginners and we are not reading the real code, but in this video I will show you what I mean to read the real code. And let me demonstrate you with this. So, like I said, we want to create the sort function here, right? And for this purpose, we go here to our random website. I go now to this website here, Software Testing Help. I will link this in the description. And this website here has here different kind of sort functions. And this sort function, which you can see here, these are very standard beginner sort functions, which they teach beginners and starters in programming. And they have to learn them. So this is nothing special. And there are actually much more sort functions. This is just a collection. There are much more. But important is now what we do in this exercise is I click, for example, this sort, and you can see here's a description. You will not read the description. That's very important. Instead, you jump to the code section, and you will see here a code section. Then you copy this code section. Let's copy this with Control C for copy. Okay, I copied this. Then you go here to your file, and then let's actually go here, right click here, add, create a new file, make a CPP file, and call it bubble sort, like this file here, because this is bubble sort here. And then just paste this file. I pasted already here. You can see it right here. And then what you should do is and that's very important now. Again, don't read the description here, right? You should now read just the code. You are reading, I refer to the movie Matrix. You are reading the code, the real deal. Right, and it means the real deal because the code here is that what you really have, right? And the description can be wrong here. For example, I don't know, perhaps this site which I choose here is I don't know, a comedy site, and they describe here very funny things, or they are just faking people, and you don't know if it's true. The only way to know if it's true, you have to read this code here to understand this. And that's why I say you should not read the code here. And you should try to understand what this code is doing just by reading this code here, testing it. For example, like I said, you should copy this one here, then you read this code here through, and then, for example, at start, you could test if this code is pointing out something like that, and you can see, we have here an output. And when we go back here, and you can see, yes, this is the output. That looks nice, right? Similar to this one. Is this similar? Yes, it looks similar, right? And if you say now, this looks similar, then you fall in my trap, because, like I said, in this video, you should learn to read the code and not the description. And actually, I faked here. What I mean faked, I copied here the code. You can see it is still the code here. That's nothing faked here. It is still this code here. But look what I did. I commented out the outputs here, and I faked here the output. And it looked like this code here was running like so. And it was an illusion, right? It was absolute fake. It was not true. This code did something else. And this is the new thing which you as a beginner should try to start to learn, which means we are concentrating from now on more on code reading to see what happens real in our code, so that we can distinguish if this description here it's true, or if, like you can see, or like a funny guy like me who is just faking you and giving you here code which is absolute not true. It is just yeah, it gives you an illusion, and perhaps I make here just other codes in it. And that is a very new skill which you have to train. It's not easy because we have not covered all keywords, but this codes, like I said here on this side, let's close this one. This codes here, this sort functions here, they are all simple codes. So you can see it. This is very simple. We have covered all these words here, all things here you should know. You should understand it. And important, I repeat, because this is the real exercise which you should train now. You read the code and you understand the code and not the description. The description can be wrong. The description can be not describe really what it happens here. And your job now is not reading just one here. You have to read, let's say, not too much. Try to read 3 at least. If you are good, you can train more with the other ones. But let's say try to read at least 3 here. And I will go through them too. So your job from now is copy this one. Read first the code here and try to understand what this code is doing, right? So what is this code here doing? And without reading description. So you are analyzing the code before you see any description, anyone is talking to you. You don't need this as a programmer. You see, and that's why I made this funny comparison with Matrix, because you are reading now the code and you know exactly what happens real in this part of this code, and not what it is describing here, or like my fake attempt here. Hey, this is a sort, and when I start you can see this line is sorted here, but in real I just faked here. And the question is now, why is this important? Let me explain this one, because that's very important to understand as well. This one is very important. For example, if you, let's say you are the programmer here and you make a project here. This is your project, and you have, you are working over the internet with 4 other people right here. You are working with 4 other people. And this is your project. Let's say other 4 other people who are working with you, and these 4 people who are working with you are doing some parts of your project. So, all right, so he is doing one part over the internet, he is doing one part over the internet, he is doing one part over the internet, and he is doing one part over the internet, right? So, and let's say, and you are the lead programmer. Let's call you the lead programmer. And lead programmer here means, or project manager, or whatever, call it whatever, but you are the programmer who will merge all the parts which coming in to the final project, right? This is here is the final project. They are doing parts of this project, and your responsibility is to accept their codes here, right? So you have to accept this code, this code, this code, and this code. And let's say this one here is making the login part, like we have the login part, and you can see this login part was, oops, not here, was one part of our task, for example. You can see the one guy is doing here the login part, right? All right, then you say, okay, the other one is doing the linked list. Linked list. All right, you can see this guy is doing the linked list. All right, that was our linked list here. Let's say this create linked list and this one. And now let's say there is one more guy who is doing the sort, which is me, right? So let's say I do for you the sort, and let's skip this one more here. So there is one guy, the sort, and I do for you the job. So I'm so helpful. And you are the lead programmer. And like I said, you can trust now all these persons here. Let's call this P1 for person 1, person 2, and here is person 3, and this person 3, it's me. And you have now the choice to trust all these persons here, which means you can say, okay, I trust you guys, you can give me, and I just test if the code is running correctly, and I will integrate it in my project. And in programming, you never do this as a lead programmer. You never trust anything. As a lead programmer, you will have to check every code which comes here from the internet, from scratch, every line through. For example, here it can happen that one of this this persons here, like me, I sent you a for example, a sort program, for example, this here, which is just a fake. It is not a sort program, but this fake here, you would find very easy because you could test here the number perhaps with other numbers and see, oh, it is not sorting anything. So this one you would find very fast. But what is the problem here in other scenarios? You are the lead programmer. I said you have to check every program step by step, perhaps line by line, probably through. And the reason for that is perhaps look what I can do here too. I can, let's go back. Let me delete this one, my fake here. That was nice. Or let's comment this out. Let's comment this fake out and let's make this real. So let's go here. This code is the real code. This one will work. But here, this one will work, right? Because I use now this one. And now I can do one more thing, which is I just can, look what happens. I just add here other functions. And when I add here any, let's call it void my secret hack function, and you can see my secret hack function, for example. It's just for demonstration purposes, but of course I can't make it here because this one is created in main. Okay, but you understand the main thing what I want to try to say. For example, I can place anywhere in this code which I sent to you my secret hack function, which is just a combination of a key combination, for example, which activates when this program runs my secret code, whatever I have here. And if you, as a lead programmer, not control every code here step by step, then something like that happens and you are responsible for this one, because later, for example, this project, this is your project. All right, this is your project. This project goes out for sale, right? And this project has, I don't know, make a hack in it where other people can go in privacy of many people. Then if they find this out, something like that, they will come to you, to the lead program, and say, we found that your project is causing millions of problems of privacy. So you can see why it is important that you first of all check every program. And the second thing is you can't rely on description anymore. So when you get better and better, like I said before, here in our function, in our task to learn this one, it's this is the, let's say, the tutorial way. You get first a description and then they try to explain the code. But in real programming, you have to check first the code, try to analyze it and see if this description is true, right? Because this can be total bullshit. That's okay. That's total crap, or it is not full explained. For perhaps there are something which is missing, very elemental, or some function which should be not here, and so on. And yeah, let's go back here to our example. You can see this one can cause big problems. And the only way to learn this one here is that you start to learn reading programming codes and without description. And the description must, it is till now what we learned is, or let's say what many teachers also on the internet and so is, they show you a description, explanation and so on, and then depends on this explanation you go to the code. But actually it is other way around. You analyze the code and then you check if this explanation, this description or whatever is true. And that you have to learn as a programmer. And like I said, you are a beginner. Don't worry, this code is easy. We have not learned all keywords and it's not really easy, so don't worry if you don't understand. And here one more thing, you can see these are all sorts, also sort, they are doing all time the same thing. Let me show you the real code now here. So what is the real code? You can see here we have the real code, and when I start now, you can see this one is indeed sorting. And how I can test this if this is true, for example, I can add here some more numbers. Let's add here, don't know, 2 more numbers, like this one. Now I have 7 here, and this should work, still work. Oh, perhaps not, because they have just made here this, yeah, I have to change here also a little bit. Let's make this one here to 7, oops, 7, because there's an array and they have here the range. So this should still work now. Let's start and see. And yes, almost. When the output, okay, the output was manually. You can see the output was here, not here. I forgot here to make this one to 7. Shouldn't work now. Yeah, you can see now we see something, it is working. But like I said, important is now that you try to understand the meaning of this different sorts through code analyze or code reading, because now you read the code and see what happens here in real, then try to understand what this is, note this in your own words, and after this one, after you say I understood this code, then go to this description what they have and check if their description is true, right? Check if their explanation matches with your experience what you have made here through the code reading, and train this code reading here. That is very important. Like I said, in future, yeah, in future when you go in this area, and over later you will probably work over the internet. And let me show you one more thing. Later we will use probably this GitHub. I want to show you a GitHub example normally, but I skipped this part because this GitHub examples which I found was not working. But later, for example, in GitHub, right, this is a place where many projects are free for For example, you can watch many free projects. For example, what I did here is I wrote here say bubble sort, and then I found one who coded bubble sort, and interesting is it looks very good, but till I start this one, and this one was not even sorting, and that's why I skipped this example here, because I want that you first just learn code reading now. This is the step which you should do, and I emphasize this all time because the fundamental thing what you should understand here is you start not with a description. Like till now, I think here in tutorial, anyone is showing how to work, and then you try to convert this to C++ code. Now it's time the other way around. You see the code, and that is what happens. And now you describe this code and see if the other description or explanation of what they give is exactly that what the code shows you, right? And I think you understand this. And like I said, try at least here free one of them. If you want, go here a little bit more. There are much more. There are, I think, double. You can see here's at least one more line like sorts here, but try at least here free to analyze, and then read the description, and then we will use this one later for our task to implement here a sort for our linked list here. All right. I hope my matrix example was good, because yes, we are diving into the matrix and you see the real deal, right? So with that said, if you have any questions, any suggestions, like all time, write it in the comments, and in the next video I will analyze these codes here, and then again we start with the code, and then I will see if this description matches. And I forgot to tell you, just they have different behaviors. That's very important. Try to analyze this as well. What is the difference here between the sorts here? They are not similar. They are doing the same thing, sorting, but they have similar different behavior. Very important. Then you can test it also if you understood it or not. Okay, with that said, bye, good luck, and have fun.